Flat on our backs with our legs straight. If you can't lay with your legs straight, go ahead and put a pillow under your knees or bend your knees. Just make sure that you're nice and comfy. And we're going to do our body scan starting at the top of our head. So starting at your head, go ahead and just roll your head a little bit from side to side and just see how your neck and your head and your shoulders feel today. How does your head feel as it's rolling across the floor? Does one side feel stiffer or stickier than the other side? And then moving down from your head and neck into your shoulders. Think about how your shoulder blades feel today. Does one feel closer to the floor than the other? Does one feel lighter or heavier than the other? And then moving from your shoulders down through your arms. And taking note of how your arms are today. Are you laying with your palms facing down or are your palms facing up? And then moving from your arms and into your torso and through your rib cage. And I'd like you to just take a couple of breaths here and really focus on how your chest and your ribs and your stomach and your back feel today as you take a couple of breaths. And then moving into your low back and noticing how your low back feels today. And into your pelvis and your hips. And down through your hips and into your legs. Noticing how your legs feel on the floor, down through your legs, into your back of your knees and into your calves. And down through your calves and into your feet. Just taking mental note of how everything is feeling today as you lay on the floor, ready to start our somatics. And so I'm going to have everybody bend your knees and bring your feet to standing on the floor. And your arms are just going to stay where they are. And we're going to start with some flats and tilts again, just to get our core warmed up. I always like to start with our flattens, and I like to do these on an exhale. So we're going to do an inhale first as you lay nice and relaxed. Inhale. And exhale as you roll your pubic bone towards your ribs and your ribs towards your pubic bone, flattening your low back into the floor. Hold for just a moment. And now super slow and smooth, like a ninja, slowly releasing your abdominal muscles. So really focus on your tummy muscles and try to go as slow and smooth as you can. And when you've finished releasing in your tummy muscles, make sure to rest. And then we're going to repeat that same one again. So staying relaxed, starting with an inhale. And exhale as you flatten your back into the floor, rolling your pubic bone up towards your ribs and bringing your ribs down to your pubic bone as you flatten your back into the floor. Hold for a moment. And super slowly with control, releasing those tummy muscles. And when you finish, make sure to rest. And we'll repeat that one again, starting with an inhale first. Inhale. And exhale as you flatten your back into the floor, rolling your pubic bone up towards your ribs, bringing your ribs down to your pubic bone, flattening your back into the floor, holding for a moment. And exhale, super slowly, releasing the contraction in your belly. Releasing all the way back to your neutral, relaxed position. And then we're going to go into our tilt. So with our tilt, we'll start this one with an inhale. So your pelvis will be going the opposite way this time. So inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor as your low back now lifts off the floor gently. Hold for a moment. And exhale as you super slowly release the contraction in your back, as slow and smooth as you can. And when you're at the end of that release, make sure to rest. And then we'll do that same one again. Inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor, holding for just a moment. And exhale as you super slowly begin to release. Super slow and smooth. Releasing the contraction in your back and letting your hips and pelvis come back to its neutral position. And we'll do that same one more time. Inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Hold for just a moment. And exhale as you super slowly, with control, release the contraction in your back and your hips. Slow and smooth. Letting your back come back down towards the floor. And when you're at the end of that release, make sure to rest. And now we're going to put those two movements together, and we're going to start with our tilt. So we're going to inhale and tilt, rolling the tailbone forward and down into the floor. Hold for just a moment. Exhale now as you super slowly begin to release the contraction in your back. Super slowly exhaling, super slowly releasing. And at the very end of that release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs and your ribs to your pubic bone as you flatten your back into the floor. Hold for just a moment. Super slowly begin to release. As you now should be on an inhale. But remember, that is not super important. What is important is that you just keep breathing. And at the very end of the release of your abdominal muscles, you're going to go back into your tilt again, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor, arching your low back up off the floor, holding for just a moment, and super slowly releasing the contraction in your back now. Slow and smooth as you can. And at the very end of that release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs and your ribs down to your pubic bone as you flatten your back into the floor, holding for a moment, and super slowly begin to release. Really paying attention to your tummy muscles now as you slowly release your flatten. And when you've finished releasing that one, make sure to rest. And then we're going to do just a couple of movements here for our shoulders and neck while we're in this position. So we're going to do one for the neck first, which I think is a really great one, especially if anybody's been on their computer or their phone or their tablet a lot lately. So you're going to be lifting your face straight towards the ceiling. And I only want you to lift your head an inch off of the floor. So go ahead and lift your face straight to the ceiling, head coming just slightly off the floor. Hold for a moment, and now super slowly with control, letting your head come back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And once your head is comfortably back down to the floor, make sure to rest. For this next movement, you're going to be tilting your head backwards. So this time you'll be lifting your chin towards the ceiling. Your head will stay on the floor as your chin tilts backwards. And hold for a moment. And super slowly begin to release the contraction in the back of your neck as you slowly let your head come back to its neutral position. And make sure to rest. And then we're going to do the lifting the face one again. So when you're ready, without rushing, lifting your face straight to the ceiling as your head at the most only comes an inch or two off of the floor. Hold for a moment and super slowly, slow and smooth, releasing your head, coming back down to a neutral rested position. And make sure to rest. And now we'll be tilting our head back again. So tilting your head back, lifting your chin towards the ceiling, your head stays on the floor, tilting the head back, holding for a moment, and super, super slowly releasing the contraction in the back of your neck. And make sure to rest when you've finished. Excellent. So now we're going to go into our obliques for our side. So I'm going to have everybody roll onto your side, and let's all roll onto our left side first. So your right side will be facing the ceiling, and you're going to bring your knees out in front of your body at a 90-degree angle, and your feet will be straight down from your knees. So it'll be like you're sitting on a chair, but on your side. And really watch to make sure, unless it's uncomfortable for you, really try to actually be on your side and not rolled too far back or too far forward, unless you need to do that to stay in comfort. Like if you have a bad shoulder or something, you may need to change your position slightly, and that is totally fine. So once we're all on our side, some of you have done this movement before and some of you haven't, so I'm going to explain it quickly. We're going to be squeezing in the side in the obliques by bringing your right hip towards your armpit and your right armpit towards your hip. So how we're going to do that is by rotating your top leg. So you're going to be lifting your right foot off of the left foot by rotating your thigh forward. Your knees will stay together, and your foot is only going to lift like maybe 6 to 12 inches off of your other foot. And now at the same time, you're going to lift your head and your chest, drawing your right armpit towards that right hip. So you're squeezing in the side that is facing up to the ceiling, holding for just a moment. And now super slowly releasing, letting your foot slowly with control come back to the floor. Slowly lowering your head and chest. And making sure to rest when you've finished. Now, you can either keep your right arm where it is, or if you're more comfortable, you can bring your right arm up over your head to help give you some support with your head as you're lifting. Or you can leave it laying in front of you, whichever is more comfortable. And I like to do this one on an exhale, so this time let's start with an inhale first. And exhale as you lift the right foot towards the ceiling, rotating that top thigh. Also lift your head, your chest, drawing your right armpit towards your right hip. Hold for just a moment, and super, super slowly releasing everything back down to the floor, super slow and smooth with control. And make sure to rest when you've finished. And we'll do one more of those on this side. So starting with our inhale first, inhale. And exhale, rotating the top leg, lifting your right foot, drawing the right armpit towards. So you're bringing your hip and your armpit towards each other. Hold for just a moment. And now super slowly with control, lowering everything back down to the floor. As slow and smooth as you can. And when you've finished, make sure to rest. And then we're going to roll over to our other side. So I'll be rolling to right side will be down to the floor, left side up to the ceiling. Knees will be straight out from your hips and your feet will be straight down from your knees. And remember, your top arm can either be laying in front of you or you can bring it up over your head wherever it's more comfortable. So we'll start with an inhale first. And exhale, rotating the top leg, lifting your foot, drawing the armpit towards your hip as you lift your head and chest. Hold for just a moment and super slowly begin to release. Super slow and smooth. Releasing everything as slowly and smoothly as you can. And make sure to rest. We'll repeat that one again. Inhale first. And exhale, rotating the top leg, lifting your foot and lifting your head and chest, drawing that armpit towards your hip. Hold for just a moment and super slowly begin to lower. Super slow with control, lowering everything back down to the floor. And then we're going to repeat that one again. Inhale first. And exhale as you rotate that top thigh, lifting your foot, lifting your head and chest, drawing your armpit and your hip towards each other. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. Super slow and smooth. Working for even more control. And make sure to rest when you've finished. Good, and when you finish that one, we're going to roll onto our bellies. So without rushing, when you're ready, rolling to your belly, and you're going to have your right arm up to your face. Your left arm will be laying beside your body, and you're going to be resting your left cheek on the back of your right hand. So you should be looking towards your right elbow. Left arm will be long beside your body, looking towards your right elbow. So for this movement, we'll be working with the contralateral walking pattern. So that's our diagonal pattern, the natural walking pattern. So you'll be lengthening and lifting the opposite leg. So it'll be our left leg and the right arm that's coming up. I like to do this one with an exhale as well. So starting with an inhale first. And exhale as you lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, just gently lengthening and lifting the left leg only about a foot off the floor. And think of just looking over that shoulder a little bit. So your right elbow will be just slightly coming towards the ceiling. Hold for a moment. And now super slowly with control, lowering everything back down to the floor. As slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And we'll repeat that one again, starting with an inhale. And exhale as you lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, gently looking over the right shoulder as you lengthen and lift the left leg. You should notice that your left shoulder presses into the floor to help you do this movement. Hold for a moment, super slowly releasing. Really paying attention to that slow, controlled release of the contraction of the muscles in your back as you slowly lower. And make sure to rest. I'm repeating that one more time. Inhale first. Exhale as you lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, looking over your shoulder, lengthening and lifting the left leg. Hold for a moment. And super, super slowly releasing back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And once you finish that movement without rushing, you're going to switch to the other side. So your left arm will be coming up to your face now. The right arm will be laying long beside your body. Your right cheek will be resting on the back of your left hand as you look towards your left elbow. And we'll start this one again with an inhale first. Inhale. And exhale as you lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, lengthening the right leg now and lifting as you gently look over the left shoulder. You should notice that your right shoulder is pressing gently into the floor for this movement to balance you out. Hold for a moment. And now super slowly as you take another inhale, lowering everything back down to the floor. As slow and smooth as you can. And make sure to rest when you've finished. And we'll repeat that one again, starting with our inhale first. Inhale. And exhale as you lengthen and lift the right leg, lifting the left elbow, head, chest, looking over your shoulder gently. And super slowly begin to release. Slowly lowering everything back to the floor. As slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And we'll repeat that same one again. Inhale first. And exhale as you lift your head, your chest, and your left elbow, lengthening and lifting the right leg, looking over your left shoulder gently. So left elbow is coming towards the ceiling slightly. Slowly with control, lowering everything back down to the floor, as slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor comfortably, make sure to rest. And when you finish that one, and without rushing, we're going to roll back onto our backs. We're going to go back into our knees bent position. We're going to finish today with a few arch and curls. Now, some of you that were with me yesterday got a chance to try a different position of the hands for this one. So anybody who has trouble with those elbows being out beside you, you can put cushions under your elbows, and then rather than having your fingertips behind your head, you can do your hands on your forehead. So I don't know if you guys can see me now. I've pinned my video. If this is a better position for you when you come up into your curl, you can slowly lower those elbows from this position, and some of you may find that a lot more comfortable. So we're going to start with the elbows will be laying out beside you. Your knees are bent and your feet are flat on the floor. And we're going to start with our inhale and our tilt. So when we're all ready, inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Also, think of pressing your shoulder blades into the floor and drawing them towards your tailbone. At the same time now, tilt your head back and let your jaw open softly. Exhale now as you slowly release the contraction in your back, as slow and smooth as you can. Slowly releasing in your neck. And when you're at the very end of that release, you're going to go into flatten by bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs and your ribs down towards your pubic bone, flattening your back to the floor. Bring your elbows together and gently lift your head and chest into a soft curled position. Once you're in that curled position, hold for just a moment and then super slowly begin to lower your head back to the floor, really paying attention to the control of your tummy muscles as you slowly lower the head. When your head is back down to the floor comfortably, slowly opening your elbows. Super slow with control, letting those elbows come back down to the floor. And then we will repeat that one again. Inhale and arch as you roll your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Press your shoulder blades down and draw them towards your tailbone. Tilt your head back and let your jaw open softly. Exhale as you super slowly begin to release the contraction in your neck, slowly releasing in your back, your hips. Super, super slow and smooth. And at the very end of that release, going into flatten as you bring your pubic bone towards your ribs and your ribs down to your pubic bone. Bring your elbows together and gently lift your head and chest. Now, if you are trying this one with your heels of your hands on your forehead, as you slowly begin to lower your head to the floor, you're going to slowly let those hands start to slide down from your forehead towards your temples. And once your head is down to the floor, slowly letting your elbows open as they drift back down to the floor with control. And when you finish that one, make sure to rest. And we're going to do one more. So inhale and tilt as you roll your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Press your shoulder blades down, draw them towards your tailbone. Tilt your head back and let your jaw open softly. Hold for just a moment. And now exhale as you super, super slowly release the contraction in your back. Slowly releasing the contraction in your neck. Slowly releasing in your hips. And when you're at the very end of that contraction, going into flatten as you bring your pubic bone towards your ribs and your ribs to your pubic bone, flattening your back into the floor. Bring your elbows together and gently lift your head and chest into a soft curled position. Holding for just a moment and then super, super slow, lowering your head back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And once your head is down to the floor, slowly letting those elbows open. Good. And when you finish that one, and without rushing, we're going to finish. I think we have enough time to quickly just do a couple of wash rags. So you're going to bring your arms out beside your body now, like you're making a letter T. So your arms will be straight out from your shoulders and flat on the floor. Your knees will still be bent and your feet are still standing on the floor. Now what I would like you to do is roll your right palm so that it's facing up to the ceiling, and at the same time turn your head to look at that palm. So your left palm is down, your right palm is up, and you're looking towards the right. Now super slowly with control, begin to lower your knees to the left. So your head and arms are going to stay where they are as your knees slowly begin to lower and drift down to the left. Your hips will come off the floor. Your feet will now be turned so that the soles of your feet are off of the floor. And remember to only go as far as you can comfortably. And when you've gone as far as you can go comfortably, you're going to slowly begin to switch direction of everything. So your knees are now going to slowly come up and start to drift to the right. As your right palm rolls down, your left palm will slowly begin to roll up and your head will slowly begin to roll towards the left so that you will be now looking towards your left palm. So left palm will be up, knees will be drifted to the right, only as far as you can go comfortably. And then slowly with control, begin to switch again. So now your knees will slowly begin to come up to center. Your arms will slowly be rotating now so that the left palm will begin to rotate down. The right palm will begin to rotate up. And your head will slowly be rolling now to the right as your knees are drifting to the left. And when you've gone as far as you can go comfortably, reversing that movement, slowly begin to rotate the right palm down as you slowly begin to rotate the left palm up. Your head slowly is rotating now towards the left as your knees begin to come up to center and drift to the right. And when you've gone as far as you can go comfortably, we'll do one more. So slowly begin to bring those knees up to center. Slowly begin to rotate the left palm down. Slowly rotating the right palm up as your head slowly begins to turn to the right. Knees are drifting down to the left. And really notice the lengthening that is happening in your back and your torso as you slowly let those knees drift down. When you've gone as far as you can go comfortably, slowly bringing everything back to center. So slowly bringing your knees back to their center, neutral position. And when you're there, and without rushing, you'll lay your legs long again and bring your arms down beside your body. And we'll finish with another body scan. So we'll start at the top of our head and go ahead and just roll your head gently again from side to side. Just taking note if anything feels different now than it did when we started today. Does your head feel lighter? Does your neck feel more relaxed? And now moving into your shoulders, and think about how your shoulder blades feel now compared to when we started. Do they feel closer to the floor? Do they feel lighter? Do they feel more even? And moving down through your arms, thinking about how they feel now compared to when we started. And moving into your torso, take a couple breaths here. Paying attention to how your rib cage feels now compared to when we started. And moving down through your back and your tummy and your hips. And then down through your legs, into your feet. And when you're ready, and without rushing, you'll roll to your side and come up to sitting. And we only have like 2 minutes left today to have some feedback.